Hey everyone, welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're going deep on some brand new research that just might change how we think about aging.
It's certainly a hot topic, and one that until recently we've mostly just had to kind of accept,
Right. Like it or not, we're all aging, but this research offers like a whole new perspective.
Yeah, it really does.
So we're talking about an article from Sanford Burnham Prebys called Can We Reverse Aging? Scientists uncover a key zombie cell pathway, which was published just this month.
Very recently.
Now you had me at zombie cells.
Well, it's definitely a catchy term and actually pretty accurate when it comes to what these cells are all about.
Okay, so break it down for us. What are zombie cells and why should we care?
Okay, well, imagine this. As we get older, some of our cells, they just stop dividing. They go into this state that scientists call senescence.
Senescence, okay.
Yeah, they're not dead, but they're not exactly thriving either. Kind of like zombies.
I like that analogy.
Yeah, so they just kind of linger around, but instead of craving brains like the Hollywood zombies, these ones crave causing inflammation.
Okay, that's both creepy and intriguing. But isn't inflammation just like a normal part of life?
Yeah, you're right. Some inflammation is totally normal, even necessary for our bodies to work, right?
Right.
But it's when it becomes chronic, like it does as we age, that's when it starts being linked to a whole bunch of problems. Everything from wrinkles
Wrinkles, though, no.
to more serious stuff like heart disease, Alzheimer's.
Yeah, those are definitely not fun.
No, they're not. Scientists even have a name for this chronic inflammation that comes with aging. They call it inflammaging.
Inflammaging, wow. I'm definitely adding that to my vocabulary.
It's a good one.
So where do these zombie cells fit into this whole inflammaging thing? Are they like the main culprits?
They're definitely some of the major players because, see, these senescent cells, instead of, actually contributing to the body's normal functions, they start pumping out all these inflammatory molecules, basically fanning the flames of inflammaging.
So they're not just useless, they're actually making things worse.
Yeah, pretty much.
And this new research digs into how exactly that happens, right?
Exactly. They focus on two key parts inside our cells, mitochondria, and this protein called P53.
Okay.
You can think of the mitochondria like tiny little power plants. They fuel each cell. And P53 is kind of like the repair crew, constantly patching up any damage to our DNA.
I'm with you so far. So you got zombie cells sending out inflammatory signals, these power plants, and a DNA repair crew. What's the connection?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting. The researchers, they found that when the mitochondria in these aging cells, when they get stressed out, they actually start getting in the way of P53 doing its job.
Hold on. So the power plants are messing with the repair crew. Why would they do that?
It does seem kind of counterintuitive, right? But it seems like the stressed out mitochondria, maybe they're trying to save energy or send out some kind of distress signal, but they end up disrupting P53's work, which means damaged DNA fragments. Those start piling up, and that, of course, fuels even more inflammation.
Wow, so it's like this domino effect.
Yeah.
Zombie cells stress the power plants, which then sabotage the repair crew, and then the whole system starts to fall apart.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
But the researchers didn't just watch this happen. Right? They actually tried to do something about it.
Right. They didn't stop at just observing.
Yeah, so they were like, okay, let's see if we can actually fix this.
Right.
So they tested a drug on some aged mice, a drug that specifically activates P53, the DNA repair crew we were talking about.
Exactly. And the results were actually pretty impressive. So the drug itself didn't get rid of those senescent cells. Those zombies were still hanging out.
So no zombie apocalypse solution just yet.
Not quite, but here's the really interesting thing. The drug actually reversed those inflammatory signals the cells were sending out.
Wait, so even though those zombie cells were still there, they weren't causing as much trouble as they got disarmed or something?
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And what this suggests is that maybe we don't need to completely wipe out all those senescent cells.
Interesting.
Maybe just silencing their inflammatory signals could be enough to really make a difference. That's a pretty big change in thinking. So instead of trying to kill all the zombie cells, which seems kind of impossible, maybe we can just manage their behavior.
Precisely. And this opens up some really exciting new possibilities for treatments, not just for the general effects of getting older, but also for specific age-related diseases.
Now we're talking, what kind of diseases are we talking about here?
Well, think about something like osteoarthritis, where inflammation plays a huge role in all that joint pain and stiffness.
Yeah, osteoarthritis is no joke.
No, it's not. But this research could lead to therapies that could actually target those inflammatory signals right at the source, at the cellular level.
So instead of just masking the pain with meds, we could actually go after the root of the problem.
Exactly. And it's not just osteoarthritis. Scientists are looking at the role of these zombie cells in tons of different conditions: heart disease, Alzheimer's, even cancer.
Wow, it's amazing. This research could be like a total game changer for how we treat these diseases. But let's be real for a second. This is all still pretty early stage research, right? Oh, absolutely. We're just starting to really understand the complexity of how cells age and how to safely and effectively manipulate these pathways. There's still a ton more research to be done before we see this actually turn into treatments for humans.
Right, of course. But just imagine the possibilities. If we could actually figure out how to manage these cellular processes, what would that mean for how long we live?
That's a big question, and one that sparks a lot of debate. I mean, yeah, the idea of living longer is obviously appealing, but we also have to think about what it actually means to live longer.
Yeah.
It's not just about tacking on more years to our lives. It's about adding more life to our years.
I love that it's not just about quantity, it's about quality. And that brings us to the idea of health span, right?
Yeah.
Like the number of years we live in good health without all those age-related problems.
Exactly. And this research offers a real glimmer of hope that we might be able to extend both our lifespan and our health span by actually targeting these cellular mechanisms.
Okay, now that is something to get excited about. Imagine a future where people could live longer, healthier lives, enjoying their later years without all the limitations we usually associate with aging.
I can definitely get behind that.
Me too. But I have to ask, what are some of the challenges that researchers are facing, like in actually turning these findings into actual treatments?
Well, one thing is that the drug they used in the mice study, it was actually originally developed for cancer research.
Oh, interesting.
So we don't really know yet if it would be safe for long-term use in healthy people.
That makes sense.
We need to make sure that any treatment that targets these pathways is safe and effective for humans.
Right. Safety first, for sure. And I imagine there are also some logistical hurdles too, like figuring out the right dosage and when to give the treatment and for how long.
Yeah, absolutely. Developing any new drug or therapy is super complicated, and this is no exception. There are so many things to consider, like how different people might respond to the treatment and any potential long-term effects.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like there's still a lot of work to do, but the potential payoff is huge. I mean, this research really feels like it could be a total game changer in how we think about aging and all those age-related diseases.
I agree. It's a super fascinating field with so much potential. And as we learn more about these cellular pathways, I think we're bound to make even more amazing discoveries.
Yeah, speaking of surprises, one thing that really struck me about this research is that it's not just about living longer. It's about improving how well we age. It's not just adding years to our lives, but adding life to those years.
Right, exactly. And I think that's a really important distinction. Living longer only really matters if those extra years are good years, full of energy and well-being.
So it's not about becoming immortal. It's about aging gracefully and healthily.
Exactly. It's about empowering people to really live their lives to the fullest, no matter how old they are.
I love that it's about quality of life, not just quantity. And I think this research gives us a real reason to be optimistic about the future of aging.
It definitely does. There's still a lot to learn, but I think this research opens up so many possibilities for understanding and maybe even manipulating the aging process.
Well, I am so excited to see where this all goes. Yeah. It feels like we're on the cusp of something big, like a whole new way of thinking about aging.
It's definitely an exciting time to be following this field, that's for sure. Who knows what breakthroughs are just around the corner.
And that brings us to you, our listeners, as we keep diving deeper into the science of aging and exploring ways to maybe slow it down or even reverse some of its effects. What kind of future do you imagine for yourselves? What role do you see these technologies playing in your own life and in the world around you? It's definitely something to think about, and we encourage you to keep exploring these questions.
We're all at the beginning of this incredible journey of discovery, and it's a journey we're all taking together.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the amazing world of aging research. Until next time, stay curious.